plowed through the field, busting glass ceilings, and persevering in the face of rampant misogyny and so many other obstacles. Now, the day dates back to 1987, and in the decades since, women's contributions to rock and roll have been recognized and appreciated, but there's still a long way to go, right? Although artists like Janis Joplin and Grace Slick and female rock bands like the Runaways have helped pave the way, it's still a typically male genre, and men are still considered the pioneers and powerhouses in the field. So joining me to talk about this is the Vice President of Curatorial Operations at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Shelby Morrison, and the founder of Women Who Rock, Melinda Colaizzi. Welcome to both of you. Shelby, I want to start with you because it's taken women making and playing rock music a long time to be taken seriously. Why?
Well, I think rock music is an art form, and it reflects what happens in society. So for the first 3 decades of rock and roll history, women's roles in society were not meant for, they were, you were in the home, you raised a family, they weren't, the traditional role was not being a rock star, while men could do those things. So just in the way that art reflects society, female artists do the same. And ever since the 1920s, though, they've been embedded. Actually, a lot of women founded rock and roll with Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey. It's just a matter of our society not recognizing them in the same way. But people like Joan Jett and Hart and Janis Joplin, and all the way to today with Taylor Swift, and people, it's women are recognized now, and it's not going to go backwards.
Well, I was just going to ask about that, Melinda, because you mentioned a few artists who it's almost like they got their recognition finally. With things like the Elvis movie, even kind of bringing to light, you think about Elvis, well, actually, so would you say that it's fully shifted in that way? Finally, the recognition is coming out, not just with the newer artists, but the ones who really built the genre.
We're definitely making a ton of progress. 2023 was a record-breaking year for women in music, and women are currently dominating the Grammy nominations this year. However, we still have a lot of work to do because still, on average, women make up only about 20% of the average music festival lineup here in the United States.
You hear that number, there's progress to go, and you say there's work to do. Follow-up question for you. What exactly does that work look like, Melinda?
Well, I think, part of that work is the reason I started Women Who Rock, because we are really a champion for women in music, giving women in music more performance opportunities, more mentorship opportunities. There's so much impact that can be made by strong women paving the way and helping to mentor the next generation of young artists, and for all of us to use our voice. I mean, whether it's on stage, in the studio, it's very important that women have the confidence to speak up and use their voice.
Shelby, how does the museum and your work also work, to effort exactly what she's talking about, of just making more progression when it comes to the genre and women?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can see her, you can be her, right? 25 years, you're eligible 25 years after your first recording to be nominated and then inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So all of the work that Melinda's doing is so important, and then we're being able to 25 years into their career recognize them and showcase their stories. I do want to point out, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we do tell stories of all artists, regardless if they're inducted or not, or what gender they are. So we tell the full history of rock. So there's more than just the female inductees' stories. We all come together and make these exhibits that really showcase the importance of not only these women in our society and culture, but to each of us personally in our own personal soundtracks.
Yeah, and we were seeing pictures of Tina Turner, and I was just thinking about Dolly Parton and that whole storyline around her induction. Can you just speak from your perspective? I'd love to hear what you thought about Dolly Parton and, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with her.
Well, she's just so humble. She didn't feel like, she was a rock artist. But for us, it's more about impact and influence. And, Dolly has impacted and influenced every artist that has come after her, and will continue to do so through the history of music. So once she understood that it was more about her storytelling and the quality of her work and the excellence of her work than the genre, then, she got into it. And, since then we've more than half of our, or close to half of our inductee class this year was women, with Missy Elliott and Sheryl Crow. And, we've honored Pat Benatar and Annie Lennox recently, and Tina Turner, as you mentioned. So we also have work to do, and we will continue to do that.
Well, I want to ask both of you, who are your favorite women rockers, or maybe your role models? I think my own is probably Tina Turner's very much up there, but also Stevie Nicks. But I don't know. Who's got their pick?
That's a great question. There are so many, but I definitely double you on Tina Turner, Ann Wilson of Heart, Melissa Etheridge, Etta James, Sheila E. So many incredible women have been such inspirations for me.
Shelby?
Yeah, we're actually, just to give you a little tease of what's coming here in Women's History Month this year in Cleveland, we're opening an exhibit about women's history starting in 1973. So right now I'm doing a lot of work with the Breeders and with Slater Kenny. I also love Joan Armatrading. Some of the Buffy St. Marie, some of those folk artists are my favorite, but they all move mountains. They all move mountains for us, and just lucky that we have their music and their stories.